at all for keyboards, and I haven't improved much from then. So my sort of inspirations came from people probably who were slightly in a similar position, mainly Brian Eno, and he's worked with Roxy Music and subsequently his solo albums. It kind of demonstrated to me that you didn't have to be a technically gifted player in order to create music and to make weird and wonderful sounds, which is what I decided to do. So I kind of concentrated more on electronics than the actual more normal physical side of playing basic piano. And once I did that, I kind of found my own voice and my own style, and I could then, give something to the band and hopefully produce something interesting. Most twisted of yours. Well, that was kind of started right from school. We were all mates at school, and we managed to get a bit of luck in the early days, mainly down to our kind of outrageous image and extreme use of makeup and hair products, and we got some really good press in Japan, the country, by gatecrashing a Kate Bush party in London. She'd already left, and the place was full of Japanese journalists, and they'd probably never seen anything like us before, and they just started taking photographs, and a month later we were in all the magazines in Japan. We weren't particularly good then, but that got us started, and we sort of developed from there. So it was a bit of a hype, but as time went on, we managed to get a lot of commercial and critical success, culminating in our last studio album, which was called Tin Drum, which was considered quite an interesting work. After Japan was a little bit tough, because I suppose we'd been used to a certain amount of success, and we were still only like about 23 years old, so it's almost like we'd had a career and it had just ended, and you tend to think that things will be fine and will stay the same, but of course they don't, and so we found it a little bit hard at first, but we carried on working together with various projects, and started to form our own label and work with a lot of other interesting artists, but it was always quite a struggle. The music was always pretty uncommercial, and in the early 90s we got asked to go and see a band called No Man, which was actually Steve Wilson and Tim Vaness, and they wanted myself, Mick Carner, Steve Jansen to play on their album and to do some shows with them. And I guess I kind of got swept up with their sort of love and enthusiasm of music. I'd become a little bit jaded myself, and got involved with working with them, and then subsequently Stephen's side project at the time was Porcupine Tree, and he wanted me to play some electronics on the second album. It just went from there really, and it sort of rekindled my interest and my enthusiasm for music. I think probably with the In Absentia album we had a little bit of a breakthrough for the first time. I mean, it's always been very incremental, but when that album came out there was a definite change, and suddenly there was a lot more interest in the group. Also the sound had taken on a much more kind of rich and textural and almost orchestral sound, and things just felt a little bit different, and we kind of felt for the first time we were getting somewhere. And then subsequently signing with Roadrunner again kind of doubled that, with almost, within a year, kind of brought another audience to us, and made a lot of people aware of our music. So it's the last 3 or 4 years that have been really something kind of special, and hopefully this new album will be another step up. Well, it certainly offers a lot of variety. It's quite a musical journey. I think it's quite different from our last 2 albums. I think it's a lot more melodic, and possibly a bit more song based as well, which is an area that we've been in before. So I think some people who used to like us maybe 5 or 6 years ago will recognise some elements that they enjoy about the band, but also I think in places it's a little bit more adventurous and experimental. We haven't really worried too much about what the convention is with a song, how you go from one thing to another. It's almost like it flows, but there isn't a rule. You know, like one of the songs might be a minute and a half, and then suddenly you're into something completely different, and it can go from quite extreme electronics to very textured orchestral stuff to quite heavy guitars, you know. So I think it's an ambitious work, and I think it'll be very demanding to play live, but it should be good.
When she cried